Hi everyone, I hope you're having a good week. I wanted to ask you a question. Have you ever had a conversation with someone about something they were passionate about, but they were using words that you really didn't understand? Maybe you even had to stop them and say, what does that word mean? Or maybe you were too embarrassed to ask them what it meant because they were speaking as if you should understand what they were talking about. You might have even walked away thinking, oh my word, I will never ask that person about that subject again because I just felt so uncomfortable. I didn't understand what they were saying. I recently did an exercise with a group of Christians that were getting ready to go on a missions trip. And in this exercise, we were asked to share our 3-minute stories of how we had become a Christian. Our I once was, I encountered Jesus, and now I am. And we had to do this exercise by using simple words that someone whose first language wasn't English could understand. And we also had to be able to say it without using Christianese words, which unfortunately have snuck into so many of our vocabulary, so much into our vocabulary. And you might say, oh, I could easily do that. No problem. I could be very simple. I could use words that aren't very Christian. I could do that. But what was funny is that out of 15 of us, only 2 people could actually do it. You know, Colossians 4 says in the Message version, pray that every time I open my mouth, I'll be able to make Christ as plain as day to them. And I want to ask you this question. Could you actually, or maybe even the people in your Connect group, be able to make Christ as plain as day to people? I want to suggest that at some point this term in your Connect groups, that you take an evening or maybe across a few evenings, depending on how many people are in your group, and do this exercise. Have them each say their story. This is how I was, then I encountered Jesus, and this is how I am now. But using it with simple English and also without using Christianese. And then give each other feedback. We did this and we actually had loads of fun because we actually laughed and because we were so surprised at how much our vocabulary was so complicated for someone who was unchurched. And it was also just such a tremendous blessing to all of us to hear where each other had come from. Some of us have actually forgotten what people's testimonies are, and we were all so encouraged for hearing people's stories. Now you might be saying, I have non-Christians who come to my group. How is this going to work? And it still works, I promise you. What you can do is you can ask them, say, if you are here and you're not a Christian yet, you can still participate in this. We've done this before. What you do is you ask them, what were you like before you started coming to our Connect group? What were your thoughts? How did you feel about God? Tell us that part of your story. And then tell us what happened that made you start coming to Connect group. And then once you start a Connect group, what are your thoughts now? So they still have a before and then an encounter and then an afterwards. So they can also participate in this. You know, recently we had an evening of worship at our new hub. And as we were singing songs to Jesus, there were 2 Portuguese young ladies that came, and they came into the doorway. And I happened to see them come in, and they were standing there all wide-eyed. And I went to speak to them. And their explanation as to why they came through the door is that while they were walking by, they got goosebumps. The hair on their arms began to raise up, and they felt something powerful. That was their explanation of their encounter with God. You know, forward maybe 2 years, and they might explain it as, I could feel the Holy Spirit or the presence of God. Those are Christianese terms, but today or last Thursday, their explanation was, I've passed by and I had goosebumps, the hairs on my arms raised up, and I felt something powerful. That's something that an unchurched person can understand. Take this term, use this exercise, be blessed by people's stories, and begin to practice making the message clear, making Christ clear, as plain as day to everyone. Thank you.